Chapter 11. Wood chopping can be fun, said X-Man as the campers lined up in front of him. They watched the hooded counselor test the sharpness of his axe blade by running his fingers down it. Nice and sharp, he said as blood spurted from his thumb. Wigglytuff gagged. Why couldn't X-Man have tested his axe on a log? All these logs need to be chopped into firewood, X-Man told the campers. Here's how you do it. Stand the log on end on a flat stump. Then, wacko! He chopped the log in two. See? Do like I do and pretended you're walking off ahead. X-Man passed out small axes. Dudwin ran off to chop wood with Moose. Be careful, Dudwin, Wigglytuff called after him. Then he and Angus picked up their logs and went off to find a flat stump. This place smells disgusting, said Angus as he put his log on the charred stump. The sun never shines. I wonder why Uncle Modi opened the camp here. X-Man came by to check on them. Hold the axe handle with both hands, he told Angus. Then, whammo! Angus and Wigglytuff tried it, but they only succeeded in knocking the log off the stump. Oh, never mind, said X-Man at last. You lads can gather kindling. X-Man, said Wigglytuff, what do you know about Dragonoka Ridge? There's an old legend about burial ground on top of the ridge, said X-Man. Wigglytuff remembered Moose saying something about a legend. Who is buried up there? Asked Wigglytuff. The legend says it's dragons. X-Man turned and gazing up at the fog-covered peak. And that their ghosts live up there still. Dragon ghosts? Cried Wigglytuff. X-Man laughed. "'Tis only a legend, lads," he said. "Just leave your axe stuck in the stump when you go to look for kindling." And he moved on. Dudwin said he saw a dragon ghost floating over the campfire last night, Wigglytuff told Angus. Angus shrugged. He's probably heard the old legend too. He was trying to scare you. Wigglytuff nodded. That was it. Dudwin was just trying to scare him. Angus grabbed hold of the axe handle. He swung the axe back, ready to thunk it down onto the stump. Instead, his axe stayed where it was, behind his back. Angus looked like a frozen statue. "Angus!" cried Wigglytuff. "What's wrong?" I don't know, Wiggy," Angus cried. I don't know, Wiggy," Angus cried. "I can't move the axe. It's like something is holding on to it." A moment later, Angus brought the axe down into the stump. He jumped back from it. "That was weird," he said. "Maybe I had a muscle cramp." Later, when Wigglytuff and Angus went back to the tent, they discovered something even weirder. "Ah!" cried Wigglytuff when he lifted the tent flap. "It stinks in there." Gadzooks, cried Angus. "Look!" The bedrolls and blankets were bunched in a heap and covered in slime. "Oh no!" cried Angus. "Where's my—" He raced inside. Wigglytuff heard a scream, and Angus reappeared at the tent flap. "My goodie box empty," he cried, "and there's cold, slimy, stinky goo all over it." Angus squeezed his eyes shut, fighting back tears. Who would do such a deed? Wigglytuff shook his head. He only hoped it wasn't Dudwin. Over the next few cloudy days, Angus questioned everyone about his missing marshmallows and the slimy box. Soon rumors began flying. Camp Dragonoka was haunted. "Camp Dragonoka is not haunted," Modi announced a few mornings later at breakfast. Yes, it is, cried Dudwin. Shh, said Maudie. Toblet began to snivel. Is this camp foggy? Said Maudie. Yes, windy at night, yes. And because of the fog and the wind, some fool made up a legend about the ghost of Dragonoka Ridge. Tell it to us, cried the camper. Tonight at campfire, Lollo shall tell you the legend, Maudie said. I shall? Said Lollo, surprised. You shall, said Maudie. As always, clouds hid the moon as the campers sat down around the campfire circle that night. Some of the younger lads and lassies had brought along their teddy bears in case the legend was very scary. Lollo stood up. She said, long, long ago, there lived a dragon. The little campers hugged their bears. The dragon's name was Fifi, Lollo went on. She was polite and friendly and very pretty, but she was lonely. This isn't a ghost story, cried Dudwin. Shh, called Maudie from his camp stool. So one day, Fifi invited all the dragons she knew to a party on top of Dragonoka Ridge. Lollo went on. She hired a band to play beautiful music. Wigglytuff saw that the young campers had stopped squeezing their teddy bears. Fifi greeted her guests, wearing a gown of pink rose petals. Lollo said. On her head, she wore a pointed pink rose petal hat. Where are the ghosts? Janice called. Ghosts, said Lollo. I almost forgot. Well, the band began to play and the dragons danced all night long. When dawn came, the dragons kept dancing. They danced for days. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, and the month turned into years. And still they danced. A loud snore sounded. Wigglytuff saw that Maudie had fallen sound asleep. He was tilting dangerously on his camp stool. On and on the dragons danced, Lollo shouted over Maudie's snores, until one by one they dropped dead of old age. And now their ghosts live up on top of Dragonoka Ridge. And sometimes, if the clouds lift, you might think you see the ghosts of Fifi and her friends dancing. After campfire, Wigglytuff and Angus caught up with Dudwin. They walked together to the lad's tent. That wasn't the real legend, said Angus. No way, said Dudwin. Anyway, dragon ghosts never have names like Fifi. They have dragon names like Gringador and Pitgasher. How do you know, Dud? Asked Wigglytuff. I just do, said Dudwin. In the middle of the night, Wigglytuff felt someone shaking him. He opened his eyes. Wiggy, whispered Dudwin, the ghosts are here. See for yourself. Wigglytuff groaned. No more jokes, Dud. This isn't a joke, said Dudwin. I swear. Wigglytuff slept out. From under his blanket, he and Dudwin crept out of the tent. Look, said Dudwin, they are everywhere. I don't see any ghosts, said Wigglytuff. Dudwin grabbed Wigglytuff's hand and half pulled him up the hill. There, said Dudwin. I still don't see any. Wigglytuff stopped. Near the flagpole, he saw big rocks that seemed to be floating through the air. Rocks, Wigglytuff managed. The ghosts are bringing them, said Dudwin. Wigglytuff stared. One by one, the rocks floated out of the woods and fell to the ground near the flagpole. We must tell Maudie, Wigglytuff said. They ran to Maudie's tent. Sir, Wigglytuff cried. Sir is for school. Maudie called sleepily from inside the tent. This is camp. Go away. Emergency, Maudie called Wigglytuff. Be gone, cried Maudie. Ghosts, cried Dudwin. Maudie poked his face out through the tent flap. Ghosts, Smosh, he said. I will give you to the count of 10 to get back to your tent, or I will set the hounds on you. 1. What hounds? Said Dudwin. 2, growled Morty. You don't have any hounds, said Dudwin. 3, called Morty. 4, 5, 6. Come on, Dudwin, cried Wiglaf, yanking at his brother's tunic. The lads turned and ran as fast as they could down the hill. All Wiglaf wanted was to be safe inside the tent, under his blanket, away from the floating rocks. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. How are you? Is the house finished, Mom? How is your statue coming, Dad? Is Aunt George still there? Has Bips stopped biting? I love camp. We have teams here. I am on the Cave Dragons team. We rock. We compete against the Swamp Dragons in all sorts of sports: rock toting relays, hole digging, weightlifting, wood chopping, and swimming. Lake Richalot is covered with scum, but once you dive in, it's not too bad. Perchance, could you send me a few more packs of gum? I miss you. Love, Janice.